Hey everybody, it's Ziz here, and welcome to this week's ESO Insider. This week we're talking about patch 1.4. 1.4. Now, don't freak out. You haven't missed it yet. It hasn't actually come out. It's not scheduled to come out probably till end of September, so the end of next month. But the patch notes are out, and we're going to talk all about them. There's a whole new zone, a whole new region, Upper Craglorn, with lots of cool stuff in there we're going to be talking about. There's also a bunch of new items and crafting changes. There's bug fixes. There's new particle effects changes. And, of course, my favorite, changes to PvP. So lots of awesome stuff we're going to go over. Let's jump right in. First thing we're going to talk about is the new region called Upper Craglorn. So as you guessed, that's just being added on to what's already there, the Adventure Zone Craglorn. But there's lots of new stuff that's going to be. There's 6 new group delves, 3 new group instances. We're also going to get a new trial, 12-person trial for the Serpent. And maybe the best of all that's going to be in that zone is the Dragon Star Arena. Now what that's going to be, it's a PvE 4-person death match, bloodbath. It's like Gladiator, right? You get in the Coliseum and there's going to be different waves with different kinds of encounters, and you basically, your group, you just try to survive as long as you can and hopefully go all the way from, you know, the beginning all the way to the end. Now it hasn't come out yet, and we haven't gotten to play it, but I'm really excited for that, and I'm excited for all the new content. I am a fan of more stuff, more content, new stuff to do, but there are a couple of complaints that are out there already. If you're looking at Reddit or the official forums, there are already lots of threads popping up, lots of people freaking out, and there's kind of 2 main issues that I see a lot, really prevalent right now already. First thing is that all this stuff is really group focused. Since the game came out, all the patches and stuff, the new Adventure Zone, it's really been focused on groups, 4-person groups, and even the 12-person Adventure Zone, the trials and stuff. And so there's a lot of people who are saying, hey, what about all the solo stuff? I can do 1 to 50 solo, I can do veteran rank 1 to 10 solo, but above that I have to do groups, and a lot of people don't want to do groups. Now, the general response to any of these complaints or concern threads that pop up, not from the developers, but from other players, the general consensus is, you're playing an MMO, so too bad. Forget about it, right? And it's like, you know, you're stupid for wanting to solo. You're in an MMO, right? And I can understand that. You're in an MMO, so you can't expect to solo everything. That's why we're playing an MMO. But why does MMO mean you have to be with a group to do this stuff, right? Like, why can't someone say, I like to solo through the whole game, and my MMO, my multiplayer aspect, is the crafting and economy. That's when I interact with people. Otherwise, I'm solo. Or maybe I like to be solo, but my interaction is with people in PvP or whatever. Why does it have to be this zone? You have to do a 4-person to experience it. Now, I know in all the other MMOs that's the way it is. You do dungeons, you do raids, and we don't want a single person going and doing this whole trial, this whole raid, killing a dragon, blah blah blah, by themselves, because then it's like, why would you get 12 people together to do it when you can do it by yourself? And it really kind of goes back to the foundation of this game. So many people are coming to this game expecting an Elder Scrolls game, which have always been single player, and they're trying to make that multiplayer. And the response so far has been, you have to play it multiplayer. Not all the game, but some of the stuff, you have to play a multiplayer. And if they would have created the game a little bit differently, they could have said, you can do this stuff multiplayer, or if you still want, you could do it solo. Like, why can't I go in a trial and queue for myself and just as myself, and one of 2 options happen. One, either all the mobs and stuff are really toned down, so it's really easy and I can do it solo, or 2, because I have no other players with me, maybe it spawns a bunch of NPCs to play with me. So even if I was a solo player, maybe I have no friends, I live in my mom's basement, maybe I work really weird hours, and so, you know, I don't have a time to play. Maybe I can't even play very much. I don't have the time commitment to get a dedicated group to get, whatever the reason is, there are options they could do to let people play. And maybe you could, like, you know, tone down the rewards, or maybe the experience, or whatever it is, to offset it, because it is harder to get 12 people together and coordinated, so they get better loot and better rewards for it. But there is a very valid concern that not only are these changes leaving out solo players, but a big part of the game doesn't even cater to them anyway, which doesn't make sense because most of your population playing the game is from solo Elder Scrolls games. So that doesn't make sense. But that's complaint number one. Number two, biggest complaint, and this is the biggest thing. This is going to be all over everywhere for the next month, so just put on your bathing suit because it's going to be a QQ fest and you're going to get drowned in tears. But they're raising the veteran rank cap from 12 up to 14. That's right. So when this patch comes out, which will be the end of September, the new veteran rank cap will be 14. So there's going to be a whole new like tier of gear, new level cap, all that jazz, right? Now there's lots of complaints. I'm not going to talk about this forever, but there are some major things that have come up, some major complaints. One thing is that people who create new characters, not only do they have to go 1 to 50, now they got to go from 1 to 14 veteran ranks. So the more you add, it just makes the game longer. Why do people care about that? Well, you don't want to feel like you're less powerful than other people. Everybody's, you know, having fun doing this new stuff. You don't want to feel like you're left out. So if you make a new character, you're a lot of times trying to get there. Not everybody. Some people are enjoying the leveling, and it doesn't matter how long it takes them. But if you've already done it, why would you want to prolong doing it again when you're trying to get to this point? Like, let's say you're with a group of players, you need a new tank. You're saying, sure, I'll make a new tank. Well, now you got to go through all this stuff, more veteran ranks, it's going to take longer. On top of that, you have people who just want to do PvP. Now, sure, you could go into PvP at level 10, but everybody knows if you really want to be competitive and have a good time, you kind of want to be the max level with pretty good gear, right? You don't have to be, but really, you want to be max level with good gear, go out there and compete and kick butt. So you're adding more veteran ranks. Well, you can't really get veteran ranks by doing PvP. Sure you can, but it's so slow, nobody's doing that. So now you're adding 2 veteran ranks, you're forcing PvPers to go out and do PvE, which isn't their preferred game style, so they can then be competitive and go back and do what they want. People are not happy about that. That makes sense. Could you imagine if there was a new PvE like dungeon that all the PvEers really wanted to do, but you said, nope, you can't do it unless you become Emperor? People would freak out. They would lose their mind, right? It wouldn't work. This is the same thing, but shafting PvP players who only want PvP. So there's that complaint. There's also the problem, you know, we talked about earlier, people who don't want to do group content. They have to do group content from basically veteran rank 10 to 14 now. So this is adding more there. There's also a bunch of people who are upset because they have all this gear that they ranked up to legendary, and you know, now it's not going to be as good because there's 14 gear, and that I can understand, but I mean, MMO, that's the same in every MMO. They never said they weren't going to have a gear crawl, so I know it sucks, but that's kind of the way you knew it would have worked if you ever paid attention. But that's another complaint. We're going to talk about new items and crafting changes. Now, here's some interesting stuff. First, obviously, because there's new veteran rank going up to 14, you can craft items up to veteran rank 14 now. It's going to be the same like it was, like a progression. You know, veteran rank 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So your items will get a little bit better, a little bit higher stats, but not really much of a change, but you can craft it, which is nice. But they're also adding a new crafting trait called Nern Honed. Nern Honed. And the components are only going to be in this upper Craglorn area. So like the stuff you have to go and gather for it, it's only going to be in the upper Craglorn area, which is only veteran rank 12 to 14. Like you can go in earlier, but it's high level stuff, right? And you can also get this Nern Honed equipment if you go through like the main quest chain through the new zone. You can get the gear that way too, but I like it. It's good for crafters. They're upping their level of stuff they can do. They're still going to be in demand. They're going to have this new trait, which will be really, really cool. And on top of that, they're also going to have what are called ability altering enchantments on weapons. Ability altering enchantments on weapons. Now, what these will be, and there's some examples. for example, if you have a weapon, it increases. What happens is, like, if you use puncture, which is a one-handed shield ability, if you puncture, it will heal you. Or if you use twin slashes, it increases the amount of damage that the dot does, the bleed does. Or if you have a two-handed sword, the cleave ability will do more damage up front. So what it's basically a weapon that enhances one of your abilities, and there's one for each weapon set. So there's one for Resto Staff, one for Desto Staff, one for Bow, one for Dual Wield, one for One-Handed Shield, and one for Cleave, which is two-handed, one for two-handed. And so there's going to be this new item which enhances one of those skills. Now it's kind of interesting, why did they pick those skills? Did they think those skills weren't used enough? Is it just helpful? Like, puncture is a tanking ability because it taunts. So because you're taunting and you're tanking, it heals you. Maybe that's really helpful, right? So I'm curious why they picked these abilities, because the list only stated those ones. It's not like every ability has a weapon to go along with it. It just specifically said those abilities. Now I kind of like this. I really kind of like this. It's more stuff in the game, more depth, more customizability, and on top of that, I could foresee myself right now. My sorcerer is running dual wield, but if I got this sword that gave me a heal when I use puncture, that would really make me consider making a one-hand shield ability where I can use puncture over and over and over and heal myself and heal myself and heal myself. That sounds like it could be really, really cool, right? So it adds almost like a whole spec focused around it. It's like, oh, what is your spec? And right now we're like, oh, I use dual wield, oh, I use this or that. If you say, oh, I use this weapon, then it's like, oh, you're that kind of spec. So it almost adds a whole new spec, which is really kind of cool. Now, one thing that does kind of suck about it, it specifically said that you get them through the Dragon Star Arena, a Serpent's Trial, and the PvP leaderboard. Now, we'll talk about the PvP leaderboard in just a minute, but it only says those 3 specific ways of getting them. It doesn't say you can craft them. It doesn't say they're a random drop. It doesn't say you can get them from anywhere else. Only that way. Now, you know, as gamers, we want to get it the easiest and the fastest way. So again, what if PvP is really hard to get these weapons you want? So this forces PvPers to go do PvE to grind this arena over and over and over and over and over again to get this weapon, so then they can go back out and do PvP with this weapon. It's just, I don't know. We'll have to see how it works, but it kind of concerns me. But overall, I really like it. I think it's awesome. If you play Dark Age at Camelot, they had Trials of Atlantis, these really cool weapons that kind of same sort of problem. You had to do PvE, but it was cool. These cool epic weapons, and they actually leveled up. And I'm a fan. More stuff, more items, more spec, more gear. Give me all the loot, right? All right. Next, real quick, just want to say there are a lot of bug fixes out there. A lot of pages of bug fixes, which is yay! We're so happy, right? Lots of bug fixes. One thing that kind of struck me, though, and the reason I bring it up, is when I was reading through all these bug fixes, I really started to get this feeling like, are we in beta? Like, there was so many bug fixes, and it's like, this is what I would expect. It was like tons of stuff, like dungeons and mobs and all, which is really nice. I don't want bugs in my game, but I was like, shouldn't this all have happened at the latest during some sort of open beta time when they were making all these improvements? And now it's going to be like 5 months after launch, and we're still making it so you're not rooted in a pool of water and die to this boss in a dungeon. Like, I don't know. I'm glad they're making the changes, but it's kind of like, you know, little, I don't know. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's like, thank you for doing your job 5 months late. Also, one other thing they're changing or adding or fixing are particle effects. Now, particle effects is spell effects, right? The fireballs and the lightning bolts and the all that stuff, right? Particle effects. And what's happening right now, a problem that you might or might not notice, is there's so many spell effects going on sometimes that it can't show it to you. When there's 200 people on screen, if they showed 200 spell effects, your brain would explode and the universe would collapse and there'd be a black hole and Malik Ball would come out and be like, ah, right? It can't do that. So what it does is it cuts out some of the spell effects. It just cuts them right out, and what the problem that's leading to is right now spell effects that you want to see that are important you don't see. So you might get knocked down by a crystal fragment or something like that, and you don't even see it. Where'd that come from? And it, boom, just knocks you down. So this new change is supposed to prioritize it. So anything that affects you or your group, you are definitely supposed to see, right? So that's really, really good. We're a fan of that. And there's also going to be a couple of sliders in the settings options for how far you want to see particles and which ones you want to see. That could help performance. If you're having bad FPS, you could turn that down. It might help you out. So overall, this is good. We want information. We want it to work. This is another one of those things that kind of made me feel like, why wasn't this already in? Like, this isn't something like, oh, we just found out this was a problem. My goodness. My goodness, what happened here? This is a problem from the very second someone starts playing the game. Why is it taking this long? I don't know. So again, thank you, ZeniMax, for taking my money and finally doing your job. Last but not least, I want to end on a high note. Some PvP changes. Now, if you watch anything on my stream, you know I like to PvP. My videos PvP. I like PvE too, but PvP is where it's at, baby. PvP. Okay, so a couple of changes. One of the cool things, there's going to be new top 10 bonuses. Now, up to this point, there's really no reason to do well. Like, sure, if you're at the top, you can get Emperor, but it's like, I don't really care about Emperor. Like, yeah, it's cool, but whatever. Who cares? There's not really any reason to take a keep or hold a keep or whatever. It's like, yeah, and there's leader. I personally just never felt like, why should I go out there and try hard? I'm just gonna do what's fun. I'll run in a circle. I'll die to some guards. Who cares, right? But they're adding a top 10. So now I personally got, when I was reading it, I got this feeling like, ooh, I'm gonna go do well. Okay? So what does that mean? A top 10 bonuses. So at the end of a campaign, so like the end of 30 days or however long your campaign is, you'll get this thing in the mail that says like, thank you, adventurer, for participating and helping your realm in PvP, blah, blah, blah. And like the last one that happened gave me like 14,000 gold. I don't know if it was a bug or not. Shh, don't tell anybody. I got a ton of gold, so which is pretty cool. Well, on top of that, they're adding items if you're in the top 10%. So you know the leaderboard, and it ranks you by how many alliance points you've gotten during that campaign. If you're in the top 10%, you get a bonus. So if you're from 10% to 3%, right, from 10 up to 3, then you're going to get a purple set item. So set item, awesome. Purple, awesome. So it's like an extra free piece of gear. Who doesn't care about that, right? If you're from 2% to the 0%, the 1%, the 1%ers. If you're the very top 2%, then you get a gold set item. And remember those weapons we were talking about earlier that have the special ability altering enhancements? You're going to get one of those too. So a gold set item and one of these weapons. So I'm thinking like, wow, I really want to get in the top 2%. That sounds like some pretty awesome loot, right? So awesome stuff there. Cool changes there. By the way, if you're in the bottom 90%, you don't get anything. You suck, so you don't deserve anything. Step up your game. Learn to play, noob, right? No, I'm just kidding. But one thing I'm thinking about, though, right now there's the 30-day campaign, which is the most active, most full, most people are on that one. Then there's the 14-day and the 7-day, and then there's a couple of 5 days. Well, if you're on a 7-day or a 5-day campaign, these new items... The campaign ends, and these top 10 bonus items, possibly a gold set item, and this cool new weapon, you could get every 5 days. If you're in the top 2% of one of these campaigns, which wouldn't be very hard because they're empty right now, if you're in the top 2%, every 5 days, you're getting one of these items, right? You go on the 30-day campaign, you got to wait 30 whole days. So I'm curious if there's going to be some sort of balancing thing with that, or maybe this is just to help maybe spread out the population so more people go to the other campaigns. I don't know, but right now I'm thinking I'm going to like re-roll on the 5 or the 7-day campaign. I don't know, but we'll see. Another cool thing is in the PvP, the reward, you know, the bag that you get, like when you kill people and it comes in the mail and you got to click on the mail and you got to open it and blah, 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 blah. The PvP rewards used to just have an item in it. Now it's gonna have gold, baby, gold. I'm a dwarf at heart. I want that gold. Give me the. Maybe I'm a dragon. A dwarf or a dragon? A dwarfish dragon. Anyway, I want gold. Gold. And lastly, last thing we're gonna talk about here, the chain pull from Dragon Knights. Now, if you didn't know what the problem was and what this is addressing, right now, let's say you have an Aldmeri Dominion character, and he's on top of his keep, right? Ooh, I'm an elf, yeah, I'm on a keep. And he has a friend, right? The Ebonheart character, over here. And he's like, this guy can, up on the keep, can pull his friend, whoop, up to the keep with the pull, right? So you can pull a bunch of people and they can take the keep, or maybe during a siege you pull them all up on the wall and they kill everybody on the wall. So it was kind of, you know, it was kind of cheesy, you know, cross-realming. We didn't really like it. So what they're doing is they're changing some of the landscaping around the keeps so you can no longer pull people up that way. And there's a few keeps, like the keeps that are back by the scrolls. When you're in the inner part of that keep, like once you break down the outer wall and you're on the inner part, there's going to be a debuff that specifically lowers the range of the pull, so you don't have any weird pull action inside there either, right? So they're really going all out to try to fix this pulling cross-realming thing, which in the short term sounds really awesome, right? That's a good thing. We're glad about that. The reason I bring it up is because I want this mechanic in the game. I don't want them to go to all this work to take people off of the walls and prevent it. I want them to add stuff in the game where I can get on that wall and I can kill that elf and I can kill that Argonian, because I think that'd be so cool. They need to add like siege ladders where you put the ladder up and then you can crawl up the ladder, and then the people on top could like push the ladder off. They could just shoot you, or maybe like a catapult thing, they catapult you in there, or maybe like a siege, like whatever it is. Right now it's kind of boring. Like, you set a bunch of crap up, you knock some walls down, that's about it. It's like super fun when you see a Dragon Knight like pull someone up there, or like pull people down from there, or they dragon leap up top. That's a ton of fun. And sure, there could be balancing issues, but that's what you're paid to do. Figure it out, make it fun. Don't just say, oh, this could be a problem, let's just take it all away. Because are we not gonna be able to pull people off of keep walls anymore? Is that not gonna be a thing? Like, it sucks when it happens to you, but it adds a lot of gameplay, which I really like and I don't want to miss. So we'll see how it works out, but overall, I like the changes. I'm not looking forward to 2 more veteran ranks, but who cares? I'm playing the game anyway, so whatever. Just add a couple numbers on there. I like the new items. I like the crafting, bug fixes, and particle effects. That's all good. PvP bonuses. I might have to get some PvP on, but I like the changes. Tell me what you think below. Please put in the comments. There's a ton of stuff that I didn't talk about. I can't talk about everything. It's a 20-minute video. We didn't even get to talk about everything. So go check out the link in the description below. It'll take you straight to the patch notes. You can read about everything. Tell me what's important to you. What did I miss? What did I miss? I know for 20 minutes someone has been sitting there saying, Ziz, this is the best thing. You forgot about it. Tell me. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, or follow on my Twitter or live stream. I'll see you out there.